This woman will never look at sticky notes the same way again. Once a young woman came home to find her house empty. She went to the kitchen to get a snack and found a sticky note left on the fridge. But as soon as she looked at it, she realized something was strange about it. It said there is someone in the house. Assuming it could be her brother, she said that's really funny, but the prank's over. No one answered. She walked towards the door, but it was locked. Then she turned around and on the table was another sticky note. It said, "You're not going anywhere." She began to feel scared. She opened the kitchen drawer to try to find something to defend herself, but the drawer was completely emptied. Inside was another sticky note. "You shouldn't play with sharp things." She ran upstairs to her bedroom and locked the door, and quickly called the police and begged them to come as soon as possible. Then all of a sudden the TV turned on by itself. It was loud and static, but on the screen was another note. "Now I have you where I want you." This time the young woman began screaming. Soon the police found her in a corner crying in fear. They searched the house and found no one there. But as soon as the young woman stood up and tried to leave, police found something horrifying. An officer took off a note stuck on the young woman's back and handed it to her. It said, "I was this close."
Likey.
Why you should always check your pockets. Or why I always check my pockets. You never know what you're gonna find. I was in 9th grade. I got kicked out of my Spanish class. I already did a story time on that. I got sent to the guidance counselor and they put me in culinary class. Freshmen typically aren't allowed to take culinary. It's typically reserved for upperclassmen. Since my teacher kicked me out a week late, there weren't a whole lot of other classes for me to go to. So I ended up going there. When I arrived, most of the students had already picked out their hats, their chef coats, so I had to just randomly pick from the bin. I was really scared and intimidated. Anyway, our chef said just grab a random hat and chef jacket, which I did. When she was instructing us on how to make chocolate chip cookies, I stuck my hands inside the pockets, and I felt something. When I pulled my hand out, I had found a gigantic wad of money. It wasn't no tiny wad. No, it wasn't just ones. I want to get on my teacher's good side. I was the youngest student. I went up to her and I was like, "Hey, I found this gigantic wad of money in one of the pockets." I showed her the wad, and she dead serious looked at me like this. She took it from me, and it was the shadiest thing ever.
Likey.
This is why you should never open your door for strangers. In 2013, a woman let her dog out to use the bathroom one more time before bed. After only a few minutes, she starts hearing scratching on her door, which is typically the sound her dog makes when he's ready to come in. But it just seemed way too soon for him to be done being outside. So she decides to look through the peephole to make sure it really is her dog. But what she sees is terrifying. A deranged-looking man is right outside her door, staring intently at her door handle, waiting for it to turn open. As she's looking in horror, unable to do anything, he starts scratching at the door as hard as he can, never leaving his gaze from the door handle. She manages to stifle a scream, she backs away and realizes her dog is still outside. So she goes to the side window, but there's no sign of her dog, and so she goes back to the door to see if maybe the man's moved. He hasn't moved, his mouth is open, and he's staring directly at the peephole. Then he turns around and walks away. With the man gone, she discovers her dog unharmed, his leash had just been cut. But that means he had a knife.
Likey.
My dad pulls his gun out and shoots my husband in the you-know-what. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. My husband falls to the ground, looks at me, and says that if I leave the house, he would kill me. But of course, I ran straight to my dad and we went home. My dad called an ambulance and they went to get my husband. He was in the hospital for 3 weeks. I never went to visit him once. I was so grateful to my dad for getting me out of that abusive relationship. But guess what? The abuse hasn't ended. My husband is suing me for abandonment. He's got his lawyers visiting me every single day, harassing me. I've noticed one man who keeps following me, and my car was broken into 2 nights ago. There's so much more. I think I'll have to make a follow-up story time. My dad is doing everything possible to get the divorce, and we're also trying to get a restraining order against my husband. I actually recently found pictures that I had taken of my bruises, so now I've got proof. Should I do a part 4?
Likey.
Hey, real man, I just got back from the mall, man. Guess what I got?
Man, what you get, soldier boy?
Man, I got me some bathing apes. I got me some bathing. I got me some bathing. I got